In this video, I'm going to show you 6 ways to create quiet, textured collage papers, which I place next to bolder, more patterned papers to bring harmony to a collage composition. Without these quieter papers, a collage can start to feel too busy or overwhelming. Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in my art demos, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel below. Links for all the supplies to make these textured collage papers are down below under the word more. And while you're there, you might also want to check out my free 5-lesson online workshop, Collage Kickstart, where I teach you how to use all the collage papers taught during Tune In Tuesday to make fabulous collages the very first try. So let's get into creating subtle yet gorgeous textured collage papers. The supplies to make textured papers are pretty simple. I used heavyweight paper as my substrate or the base. So you want at least a paper that is about 90 to 100 pounds. This is a mixed media paper, 108. I love Bristol paper, Stonehenge paper, watercolor paper, just something with a thicker texture to it. You also need some acrylic paint. I use Phthalo Blue Green Shade, Hansa Yellow Light. I also use Quin Magenta as my third primary, but in this demo, I'm going to use just these two. I also add black and white to add contrast. You also want a variety of different papers that you can crumple up to create texture. This is a craft paper, a deli paper or a wax paper, something that has a little texture to it. I also used rice paper, copy paper, anything that you can crumble up and create texture. This is a water bottle that creates a mist. I also have one that just does a straight squirt. Any kind of water bottle works. I tried both to see what kind of differences I could make with those. And I also pulled out a couple of my favorite stencils with smaller holes. So now that we have our supplies, let's get started. I'm going to start with a piece of Stonehenge paper. Before I do anything, I'm going to wet down my surface. And that is so that my paper will actually basically stick to it. So I'm just going to smooth this down. And the reason I'm doing this is I want the paper to stay flat as I'm doing this process, because I'm going to be adding some water to this. If I don't adhere the paper to my surface first, and this is a plastic surface, this paper will start curling, which I don't want. I'm going to mix paint right on top. Oh, this is interesting. I'm getting a little bit of patterns here. So I'm mixing my colors right on the surface. So I just got a large paintbrush here. I'm going to be experimenting by adding different things on top of this paper to see if I can get some textures on here. Now, this is a piece of deli paper that I've used quite a few times. It's already got some texture to it. So I'm just going to lay this down lightly, kind of patting it down, and see what kind of texture I get when I pull this up. And that is beautiful. And what I'm looking for is interesting textured papers that have less pattern to them, but they still have pattern. So I consider that a go. Now, there's a little bit of space where I didn't get any kind of texture on. Let's see if I can create some. Yeah, I did. So just pat a little more down there. What's interesting is the deli paper also has some texture. I could actually use this as a piece of collage paper as well. My surface is already wet from my last experiments. I'm just going to lay another piece of Stonehenge paper down here. Actually, it needs a little more water because this is curling up. So let's add a little water. Okay, so if I can get this paper to lay flat on here. And the fact that I've got some moisture on the paper, that's fine. So I'm going to just, again, experiment with mixing my paint right on my surface. It's Phthalo Blue Green Shade. I'm going to add a bunch of white because I think it might be interesting to have a lighter color. Again, I'm going to take my paintbrush and mix it right on here. Love that. And I like that there's a lot of interesting brush strokes there. So I want to try a piece of crumpled deli paper. This paper is something I often use in my artwork. And I'm just going to lay this kind of crumpled on top and press it down just lightly because I want those wrinkles to show through on the paper. Now I didn't get as much as I want. See if I can get a little more by adding some water to it and see if that helps the situation. So again, I'm gonna actually try it on the side with the checkerboard. Now, interestingly enough, although I didn't get any kind of crumpled look on top of here by putting a paper on here, I actually love what's happening here. It's a beautiful kind of watercolory paper. And if I move this around, I get even more effects. And again, when I'm making collages, I want papers that have pattern, but also not have pattern. So this would be a very lovely, quiet paper to put next to something that has more pattern to it. So I'm just gonna let this dry exactly the way it is. I'm gonna try a piece of mixed media paper this time. I am gonna use some pre-mixed paint here, but this is actually a combination of phthalo blue green shade, Hansa yellow light, and some white, which are the two main primaries that I use in my art. I'm using the same paintbrush because it only contains those two primaries, which is Hansa yellow light and phthalo blue green shade. Now this is already pretty wet. I'm gonna try laying a piece of deli wrap on top of this and see what kind of impression I can get in that wet paint. So let's see what happens. Oh, that is great. Now I didn't get as much pattern here, but I don't have to have this entire paper patterned. But I love the fact that I've got some really interesting dots here that will be kind of like, when people look at this, they'll go, oh, how did she get those circles on there? So I'm gonna try a little bit of a darker one, probably too much paint there. This time I'm gonna add just a tiny dot of black. A little black goes a long way to darken this blue. Again, I'm gonna get some of my extra paint off on my slough off paper here and mix it on the fly right here. I like this really dark blue color. Put some water droplets on there so I can get some water resist going. Now I can already see some separation on here. So I could just scrape this off right now and have a beautiful water resist, but I want to create some different kinds of effects. Now this is a piece of craft paper. So I'm going to crumble this up nicely. Now this is already creating some really interesting effects without me doing anything. Lay this on top. Ooh. Very interesting. Let me see if I can make a little more happen. This has gotten a little dry there, a couple places. Some got textured crumbles. Yeah, that's beautiful. And just having a little texture adds interest, where I could put a piece of this next to something that has a lot more pattern to it. So I want to go for an apple green. So I'm going to place some yellow down and just a dot of that blue. And I'm just going to mix this on the fly right on my substrate as usual, because that's just quicker. A little more apple-y, if that's a word. Got a piece of craft paper. I'm going to lay this on top, see what kind of texture I can get. Right there. Ooh, it's exactly what I wanted. Let's see if I can get a little more texture in that little corner there. Yeah. Now, some of this kind of mess on the table is smearing on this, but that doesn't matter because I'm not going to use this entire piece of collage paper in a collage. I will use corners of it or pieces of it. And who knows, maybe I'll want a little blue, but that's exactly what I was looking for. Lots of texture. So I'm going to add some green, just a little bit. Now this is already an apple green, so add a little bit of yellow to it and I'll get a brighter apple green. Oh, well, my paintbrush was already too green for that to happen. Add a little bit of water to this, which it already has a lot of water, but you're already seeing some separation here, which is very cool. So I'm just gonna wait until that saturates a little more so I see some kind of white lines around the water. Now this could be interesting. This is packing material. Let's see what this does in terms of giving us another texture to work with. So I'm just pressing it down into the water and the water resist. It's all an experiment. I never know what's gonna happen. Okay, well, I got some texture, not as much as I wanted, but not to be thwarted. Okay, not exactly what I was looking for. I think what I'm gonna do, take my trusty paper here. Let me see if I can create the texture that I'm going for. So I'm not rubbing this totally flat, just enough for that surface to attach itself attach it to the paint. Oh, wow. Very cool. And you see some of the kind of different variations in paint color. I love that. I'm going to try for a pretty heavy dose of this blue on a pretty thick layer. But I'm going to add a tiny bit of yellow so I can create some teal out of this. Use my blue paintbrush, mix it right on here. Add a little bit of water to that. This is a piece of tri-back paper. Don't know what this is going to do. I just pulled it out of my stash, but it's got a lot of natural texture to it. So let's see what will happen on here. Oh, wonderful. Love that. This time I really want a light color, like a light blue. So I'm going to put down a lot of white and my blue and yellow and see what I get. So I'm going to add a stencil. For an experiment, we'll put another kind of stencil over here. And then I'm going to spritz. Got a piece of rice paper. You know, I follow what kind of comes into my head that says, why don't you try that? And sometimes it works perfectly and sometimes it's a flop. But it's never really a flop because I can always cover something up. Okay, so the rice paper looks super cool. Taking these stencils off, what it will look like. Oh, that's really beautiful. It's gorgeous. So it's very subtle, but again, we're going for subtle papers. Interesting, I really like very tiny dots. Since I had some crumbled up papers, I decided to take some of my paint and just very, very lightly paint over those crumbles or those wrinkles, whatever you call them. And I like this as much as anything else I've created. That is very interesting. As is always the case, I end up experimenting and making a ton of papers. Many of them I really like. I wouldn't say I love them. Some of them may get more layers on top of them. But the ones that I absolutely love is this very short pile out of all of these. So don't expect every single paper to turn out to be your favorite, but that's true with all collage papers. You know, we play, experiment, and layer until we find the technique that we really like, or the kind of papers we really want to make with every kind of technique. So let me show you my favorites. So these are the ones you'll actually see me demoing, and they're all dry now. And I just absolutely love the unique texture of these because they don't have a lot of pattern in them. They just have enough to create interest. These will be very beautiful next to more patterned papers, which is what I was looking for. I need more quiet papers to place next to patterned papers. This one is just completely yummy. So mysterious and dark with lots of texture in it. Love. Really, anything I'm showing you here, I love. Now this one is interesting texture. It's just, I kept adding water and it eventually just created this kind of runny look, which, you know, many different parts of this will make a great piece of collage fodder. This is bubble wrap paper, which again is a very subtle pattern, very subtle texture that would be beautiful. And gosh, this one is just like, oh my goodness, love. And I wouldn't be able to recreate it if I tried. So many of these, and even these, you know, actually putting a little bit of paint on top of my crumpled up papers, I love. So I hope you have fun experimenting with making your own textured papers this week. To learn how to make many more types of collage papers, check out the links that are about to appear right here. And be sure to join my free 5-lesson online class, Collage Kickstart. The link to sign up is under the word more below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would be deeply grateful if you would. And I'll see you here next week for Tune In Tuesday.